We are live.
We are live.
Hello, YouTube. Hello. Well, I shouldn't say YouTube. Now we're going to be everywhere.
Everywhere all at once.
We will be uploading this podcast. My name is John, and this is Reggie, and we are the Leaders Exchange. This is a brand new podcast put together, honestly, for the people of Illinois, right? The Central Illinois and Northern Illinois, the people that, in my and Reggie's understanding, they are kind of just suffering from this lack of information and lack of solutions.
The people of the world. The people of the world are suffering from lack of information.
It I'm not trying to go off on a tangent, but it does mind boggle me that people in less fortunate countries, right, in third world countries, seem to be a little bit more happy with their lives than we are, and we got everything in our tips,
Yeah. It could seem like that for some. In certain places, you have less media.
Dude,
less media, less confusion, less narratives. More just everyday people.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, this podcast will be put together for the people of Illinois, for parts of Wisconsin, everywhere around the world. We're going to be having leaders on here, local leaders, business leaders, politicians, people to help basically bring solutions to a problem that, honestly, a lot of people aren't solving. You have parts of Illinois that are just in shambles right now.
Mm-hmm.
You have, legislations that are just gone off the hinge.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's just, either not informed or just they don't care. They don't care about what's happening to their kids in school.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care, or they don't even know what's happening to their children overseas. They don't see the lack of leadership and the lack of accountability.
And I would say that is a consequence of lack of information. The reason why you don't care is because you don't know. If you knew, if you knew more, you would be like, "Oh, I didn't know that." Is that really how things work around here? A lot of people are unfamiliar with how things work.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that would be more so. That would be like the lack of the right information, right? The truth.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, because misinformation is an issue. It's not just about not having information. It's about having, let's say, misinformation or information that's without full context, basically.
Yeah. They're taking bits of it. They're trying to blow it up into something that it isn't. You got
adding contact
on the left and right.
Mm-hmm.
We don't see ourselves as a friend to any party but the American people, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to sit here and advocate for one side over the other, even the middle, to the point of saying the libertarian or the classic liberal. We're just trying to get the information out, and we're trying to find solutions through local leaders. Find out, like, what can we do to help spread the message? What can we do to help people out? It is kind of disheartening how we see this country going down a path of no return. America, for the most part, is the great experiment, right? You have so many freedoms. And that's, I mean, just to go back and forth on all the parties, it's you have one side of the spectrum that basically says, hey, this is, anyone can do whatever they want. Any business can do whatever they want. Any individual has the right to say whatever they want. And you have another sect that will sit there and tell you straight up, like, hey, you can't be doing this. There's rules that you were crossing verbally. There's rules that you were crossing physically, and you can't do that. And then you have ones in the middle that are like, let them do what they want to do. But those are the ones that are getting chopped up. You have people on news organizations telling people to go after libertarians, going after some of these people that are just and they're advocating for their own demise in some part. But the system is eating itself alive. And so it's very disheartening.
Yeah, it could be something that was meant to be. I mean, something that was bound to happen at a certain point. I think one of the big things we're dealing with is like a lot of new technology that we've never had before.
Yeah.
And information is moving a lot faster. So when we have a situation like that, it's kind of like, where is this going?
Yeah.
Because it's moving fast.
Yeah.
I mean, we can feel the speed.
Yeah.
We can definitely feel the speed. I mean, we may not even feel it.
Yeah.
Right? But if you think back to the 80s compared to the 90s compared to now,
Yeah.
major changes in technology, major progress and speed of everything is faster. You know, so
yeah. Everything is gotten magnified to the point where now people who are being too magnified are like scrambling like ants, like, oh crap.
yeah. And
But,
look,
you know,
inflation is another part of that.
Oh yeah,
You know,
we'll be going over all of this.
Yeah.
But. So my name is Jonathan. I am from Chicago originally. Grew up in the suburbs, the northwest suburbs of Chicago. Won't really get to specifics, but so yeah, I'm a local boy here in Chicago, just trying to help out, trying to do the right thing, trying to help out my brothers and sisters out here. I am I'm a mutt, so I won't get into specifics of my nationality, but I am a mutt. I am one of many, you know. So, but yeah, I mean, I went to college, wasn't really for me, you know, for the most part. Now I kind of I do the local thing. I work for the local people, but for the most part, it's kind of a job I like to do. But what about yourself, Reggie?
My name is Reggie. I'm from here and now in this moment. You know, it's interesting, right? Because you brought up like the specifics of backgrounds, and a lot of times, you know, people are so concerned about where maybe a person specifically came from or how someone specifically started.
Yeah. I might touch on it in the future about my family's history, but for now we're all going to be pretty fresh here. But for
right,
me,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things where judging someone based on their background, right? Mm-hmm. You know, based on their skin color, based on their, you know, family, name or a business that they may be associated with. You know, it's interesting because sometimes that's the reason why people get turned on or off, and they without even really knowing who you are. They just, Chicago, guy from Chicago. Guys from the East Coast. Oh, look at this, Californians. And it's just a Texan. I mean, it's kind of like, look, man.
That's very
meet
true.
me first, face to face, eye to eye. Let's level it out.
Yeah.
Let's level it out, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna meet you. You can meet me, and we
Yeah.
can figure it out from there. But if you already have these preconceived notions about who I am based on, you know, something you heard,
Yeah.
because it's not about what you heard.
Yeah.
Because what we hear a lot of things.
That's
we hear a lot of things.
That's coming, you know, I would say from, you know, an intellectual standpoint, that's more like an evolved consciousness that understands that, you know, there's something beyond the tribal.
Right.
Because we all want to be a little bit, it's not like we strive to be tribal. We just end up being tribal. We tend to lean toward things we look like, lean toward things we're interested in, lean toward things that makes us feel comfortable. And we don't even know we're doing it. You know, it's not like.
Do you believe we were nudged in that? Because here's my thing. When you grow up, and like, let's say you're a kid, you go into school. Every school has its colors. Oh, yeah. Every school has its mascot. You know what I mean?
Disclaimer: Reggie and I actually went to junior high and high school together.
Right.
So we go pretty far back.
Yeah. So we know what the flags and the banners and all that stuff look. The
and
roads.
We got together. We reconnected last year during
whatever you want to call last year. It was many things all in one.
So we basically, Reggie called for a peaceful assembly of people coming together, say, what are we going to do? You know, we need to all come together. This needs to be a conversation. But I came to support you. Mm-hmm. You know, we haven't talked in a while, but I saw what's happening, dude.
I appreciate that, my brother. Dude, from way back. They will never understand.
Dude, I saw Reggie put out a Facebook video, and it was so moving to the point where, like, you knew where your heart was. Integrity was there. You were trying to do the right thing. You were like, what are we doing? We need to figure this out. Mm-hmm. You know, like, I know I'm not the only one. I could tell what you were going after. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna come. I live an hour away, but I know I moved away. But, you know, I came to help you, and I came to support you. And
I appreciate that, man. That was real, man.
Yeah.
I said it in the video. I said these are the realest people.
Yeah.
That I've ever met, because you the ones that showed up.
So so talk about that event. So what, honestly, besides the horrible tragedy that we all witnessed,
Yeah, this was
in
coming out.
Minnesota.
This was coming off of the George Floyd incident. Which turned into a lot of things. It kind of sparked a lot of movement for a lot of people to get out. And honestly, to be honest, I felt like I just saw something that I just was like, I never want my kids to see that.
Yeah.
Never. I never want my kid, my daughter, my son. I never want. I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
I personally didn't want to see it. I hated to see the way that went down. Now, that being said, that didn't mean that I had all the information on it.
Yep.
Okay, because there's always more stuff in the background. There's more details that we're not aware of that came to the surface later on. What it's still on the surface was still wrong. What we saw wasn't right.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I mean that is But my thing was, if we're going to find solutions for what we saw, then we also need to pick up on the other details, not just what's on the surface. We need to understand the procedures, how things are supposed to go, how things are supposed to turn out. What would have been a better scenario? Is it an issue with the wrong people in uniform, or is it an issue of the people, maybe they're the right people, but they're not trained well? They need better training, right? It could be a combination of both things, right? Because George Floyd is not the only incident that we've seen that just seemed to not go the right way, right?
Yeah.
And then we're judging things a lot, and then that was the next thing I learned, is that we're judging things a lot without really having any experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
With being in that position.
Yeah.
On both ends, yep. Because I had a lot of people that were comparing themselves to George Floyd because of their skin color, but they're not living a lifestyle like George Floyd. Yeah. I mean, they're not living his life. Look, I found out real quick that I'm not living his life, and I'm nothing like what he was, right?
Yeah.
And so, in the same thing with the police officer and everybody that was there, right? All of these people are living a different life. They got different backgrounds. They're here in a certain place at a certain time for a very important reason. For whatever reason, we have to find out. As we watch these things play out, we're all learning. We're all learning from something like this, And I didn't realize how much that I had to learn. that was my thing. I didn't know how much I had to learn. I know what I felt, but I was like, man, if I really want to do something about this, I have to learn a lot more.
There's a perfect little a clip out there that went viral. I think it's kind of old because I've seen it circulating for a while. There's a clip of it seems to be a black child wearing a pink puffy jacket getting kicked out of a bus. Have you seen this clip?
Nah.
So there's if people out there know what I'm talking about, you know exactly where I'm going with this. Hopefully, but it's this little kid, seems to be a little child. Black, wearing a hoodie, gets kicked out of a bus, right? And everyone in the crowd's like, "What are you doing?" Everyone's like ramped up, all amped up, yelling and pushing the bus driver. It's like, this dude's trying to get on the bus with a bunch of kids.
I saw it. I know what you're talking. I know.
What did it turn out to be? An adult male. An adult male getting onto a bus in a pink jacket and a pink backpack.
Right. Yeah.
Perception is everything.
Right.
And unless you don't know the full story.
Now, was he just really short, or was he a midget, or was he...
I don't think you're supposed to say the M word. I don't know. We'll figure that out.
Well, like I said, I'm learning. I don't know all the words.
We are learning.
I don't know all the words, but I know the words I know, and I use the words I got.
I don't know what the proper term is. But we'll figure that out.
Is it like dwarfism or something like that? It's something like that's more like the technical, term.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure they do not appreciate that terminology. But this was
a grown man that was like 5 feet tall,
basically, maybe
even shorter than that. Like probably like 4'11", 4'9",
child height.
Yeah, he was very very short, and he had on a pink. He was impersonating a child because he was using his, whatever he has going on physically, his physical, difference.
Yeah, but the takeaway from that is just there's the perception on both sides. You had one trying to do his job, perceivably, and then you had other people reacting to him doing his job, perceivably. So it's just the fact of the matter is, unless you know the whole story, You know, I mean, Trey, what?
You don't know much. Look,
Yeah.
if you don't know the whole story, you don't know much.
Jacob Blake.
Jacob Blake. And look, before we get to
dude.
that name, because I think that's where a lot of people. I had a lot of arguments over that.
Jacob Blake?
Okay. I had a
Okay.
lot of arguments over that situation, as well as other situations. And so, going back to the George Floyd situation, I organized a protest. You showed up.
Yeah.
Peaceful.
Yeah.
We got support from everybody.
We got support, from the local PD.
From the local police department that helped us organize it, helped us find a path to walk and do all the things we need to do and get there safely and get there back. Which is why I have respect for them.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not mad at the people that was there, that was helping us just because they had a badge.
No, what do you say?
Because
what do you say to people just who would simply look at that situation and say those cops are just doing their job? They don't really care. They don't care about you, Reggie, whatsoever. They're trying to make sure this doesn't look bad for them. What would you say to those people?
So the people that would say that don't know those cops, because I got to meet them personally.
Okay.
Right? I was on the phone.
Mhm.
I was on the phone with them, and they were helping me get organized and stuff. And shout out to the one that really helped me and took charge. I'm not gonna put his name out on here, but I will say he did a great job of supporting everything I had going on, and stayed on the phone with me and talked to me about how we wanted to do things. Right. So yeah, I mean, he went above and beyond. I would say I didn't expect him to do that. I didn't expect him to even be in touch with me like that. Right. And so, originally when I got contacted by him via email, because he saw the event on Facebook, and he was like, hey, and I'm sure it's part of his job to inquire about, rallies being organized in the area and stuff like that. Of course, right? Of course. But the way he went about it was not like it's just his job.
Okay.
He took extra steps to secure and make sure everything was going to happen the right way and be organized. And so people, when they say, "Oh, this person, they're just doing their job," and then most of those people don't know what the job is about. I didn't know.
Yeah.
When I saw this, I was like, "Oh, this may be part of the job that I was not aware of."
Yeah.
So
I don't even know the last time that township ever had any type of rally like that, dude. To be honest with you.
It was the first one it was the first
wasn't the last
rally for me. I've never been in a rally or a protest at all.
You ran that.
I organized it. I put it out on social media. I had people inboxing me.
Yeah.
I was on the phone. I wasn't eating. I'm like, hey, I got people on the phone calling me, asking me, and I'm like, uh-oh, you done started something. you started something up. Look, and I didn't realize how much it was starting up like that.
Yeah.
But as I got contacted by people, and people that wanted information, that wanted to be a part of it, it got to that point where I realized this is not about me. It never was about me. And everything that I was doing was for the people at that point, right? And so I made it my priority, like, answer the phone. I got random when you got random numbers calling you. A lot of times you get a random phone call, you're like, I don't know who that is. But I mean, I knew that I was doing something where I wanted to do this for the people. So I'm like, I'm on the phone. Let's go. Yeah. Who's with it? Let's go. Let's get it done. Yeah, man. It was an amazing experience. I'll never forget it.
Yeah, it was the first time I've ever seen emotion draw out people to that type of motivation. Because usually, I mean, especially in the gym space, you get a lot of people who don't commit. Commitment is everything, and you saw nothing but commitment through emotion.
Man, you saw people committed. I saw people that were committed that had every reason not to.
Explain that.
They had every reason not to be committed to this.
Okay.
There were people that came out that, here's what I mean when I say had every reason not to be. You had people that changed their schedule.
Okay.
You know what I mean? To show up at that day, right? People, they could be at home with their family, right? They could be doing anything else. They could be working. They could be doing something, right? And you had people out there that was walking and marching with us. They had to put on knee braces and ankle braces.
I did not
because
see that.
They were not really exercising and all of that kind of stuff, but they wanted to take be a part of this. They want to be a part of this march.
Slow down.
Yeah. Well,
slow down.
Hey, and look.
I remember that.
We had and right, exactly. We had people that we needed to slow down.
Yeah.
But that was the beauty of it, because everybody was there to support each other.
And everyone stopped. And everybody
Everybody
was there,
stopped.
dude.
Nobody got left. Nobody got left. If you got left, you wasn't there.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
If you were there, you never got left.
Yeah. No.
No.
It was a good show of heart, you know. And
Yeah.
you had a couple more organizations after that, organizing.
Oh yeah, we had a follow up. Okay, and the follow up was big, because for me, after seeing a lot of I guess when I organized that protest, very soon after that, we started to see like these kind of more violent protests. We wouldn't even consider it a protest, right? The definition of protest is not violence, right? That's a riot. So you transition from a protest to a riot. Don't call it a protest.
Okay.
You know, don't say this is a violent protest. Well, by definition, that's not a protest, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we started seeing riots. We started seeing anarchy. We saw, like, I don't know, there was like some clips of the city being like burnt to the ground, where you look and it's fires everywhere, you know, and they got to pull up the bridges in the city because they got to block people from coming in, because it's becoming like a war zone, right? It's becoming very dangerous and very violent, you know. It's
disheartening on multiple fronts, right? You have media platforms, right? You have social media, you have engineered search engines, right? Talking about Alphabet, Google, YouTube, Facebook, all that, who go from platforms to tools, right?
Yeah.
And it's like I don't know if you heard about what happened in India. Now, I'll recircle on all this.
Yeah, let's go into that.
I'll recircle on all this, but what the main point is, you were talking about Bridges Up, Chicago. You were talking about fires being burned, Portland, Minneapolis. And what we're doing is we're reacting to a point where now we have to question, is this real? We have to look at something, because now we're becoming the other side that says we need to call for action, physical harm. And it's weird. It's a weird line. It is a weird line, you know, and you have
reaction or overreaction.
Exactly.
Or my favorite, which I think is if you're in control, it's not a reaction, it's a response.
Well,
that's the way to put it. It's a response.
Yeah. 2000 well, look at what happened under Trump's administration. We had people reacting to photos of children in cages that actually were under Obama. So
that's true.
It's a weird state that we all live in, of hesitation on the few. And it is a little weird, because you have hesitation on the few, and then you have reactionary on what it seems to be the majority, the way things are being legislated. But is it? And I don't think it is. You know, so we handle things different here in this country. But India, for instance, they raided Twitter's office. I don't know if you heard about this. So
no, I didn't hear about that.
They legit busted down the doors and said we're taking over, basically.
Right. Yeah.
And what would happen was we'll put this up, right? We'll put this in the detail. We'll have this up on the website.
Yeah, put that up for me. I need to see that personally myself. I'd like to see that, because that's major, man. That's major.
So in this country right now, when someone makes a comment, there will be a disclaimer. Misinformation, you know, something's happening, blah, blah. They did that to a politician in India. No, they're like, we're not having any of this. They bust down the door. Now, mind you, they're coming from a place from their own truth, right? Yeah. They were calling that, you know, this company was siding with the Socialist Party of India, and they're seeing that these social media groups are actually organizing on their behalf, and that was their motive and their reason. And it is
they're seeing it as propaganda.
Yes.
And they're seeing it as it's, and this is interesting, right? Because this is where kind of like there becomes like a line.
Yeah.
When is your media becoming a call to arms,
well,
where it's becoming propaganda, and it's pushing and organizing groups that may try to do something violent in the streets? Are you provoking people?
Israel. So I don't know if you knew what happened over in Israel, but in Israel, they they basically flattened a building that the AP, Associated Press, was associated with. Now they say,
I heard there was things in that building.
Well, they were saying that the AP was helping out Hamas. Now, mind you, that the politics in the Middle East, we won't get that into it just because we're not experts, right? This is just, we're
sharing information that we've gotten.
That we have.
Do we have all of the information? Do we live? Are we boots on the ground in Israel? No, we're not. No, we're not, and none of you are, unless you were there. unless you
open this up.
Yeah,
you're over there.
Yeah. Well, if we got people watching from Israel. Wow.
Yeah. Well,
I'm excited.
I'm
excited.
I will say that they call Hamas and Hezbollah, they call them terrorist organizations. So, and mind you, from my perception, my Middle Eastern blood, I will interject that it does seem that they're coming from a place of populism and trying to basically keep their state the way it is and trying to they don't like outside influences. So and here in America we understand that. We understand that from its extreme, right, to the KKK, all the way to its other side to the Minutemen. So you have in the Revolutionary Party, the Tea Party, so you have extremes and then you have your understanding on the left and right. So it is what it is. But I will say that the media seems to be globally organizing with certain parts of media group with certain parts of political parties in these governments, which does seem to be a little bit weird to me because at the end of the day, studies have shown that if left and right, the right seems to be a little bit more conversational, and the left does not. And it is, and it does bother me to the point where
that the left is not as conversational.
Not as conversational because they would shut down. I mean, you would see.
Well, that's interesting because just real quick, I gotta slide this in there because I don't even consider myself left or right necessarily. I consider myself to be me, and I think one of the issues that we run into is like these labels, and I talked about that earlier. But the thing is, the people that I got the most response from when I was trying to dig into a lot of what's going on in politics, because I didn't know, and how our government works and how legislation works and all of that stuff. Most of the information that I was able to get and the fastest responders were considered to be right.
Right as in
that they were on the right.
Okay, conservatives,
right.
Conservatives,
right wing, right, whatever you want to call it, conservative. They seem to offer up the most information. Okay. By far, to the point where I was like, wow, I didn't even know most of this stuff. I learned so many things. Now, left, here's what I got from left. Lots of emotion. Lots of emotion, like a lot of more emotion than actual. On both sides. Well, yeah, but I got way more emotion than information from the left.
I would personally label that as leftist.
Yeah.
Because I have seen some, but see, then you have your moderates that I guess maybe you are right, because I would assume the moderate would listen. I would assume the left would also, and from me being in some of those chat rooms and being on the forums, it's their way or the highway. And but then you got
to remember, I put myself in a listener's position.
Okay.
Because I was trying to learn things, right? I was asking a lot of questions, and I was even asking people, what do you think is a great solution for this problem, right? Yeah. What do you think is a solution for that problem? And the people that were up to answer those questions.
We won't say her name, but she was scared to come out her door, dude.
Well, yeah.
She was scared to walk outside her house. How have you gotten to that point where you absolutely believe the cops are going to come after you? You have LeBron James. You hear about LeBron James attacking a cop who was basically, he was making fun of him, but LeBron James came after a cop for saying, hey, if you have a certain situation where someone's getting hostile and you have seconds to react, LeBron James is wanting some of these cops to talk them down. From a Viva episode, but you don't know these people. You don't know the conditions they're in. You don't know
what's on a person's mind.
Yes.
But see, what's on a person's mind and the things that we don't know about this person is far beyond race.
Yeah.
That's not really a racial thing. If I'm in a situation And I've been in situations where maybe I'm at the club or the bar or something and a fight breaks out.
Okay.
I'm not thinking about race. I'm thinking about what the hell, something is flying at me. You know what I mean? Like I'm looking out for who I need to look out for. I don't know. I'm in a situation, right? And I think a lot of times people are being thrust into situations where it's more about the danger of what's going on. Not like, hold on, are you black? Are you white? You know what I mean? Like, wait, hold up.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Are you a threat?
Yeah.
That's number one. Are you a threat?
Yeah.
Or are you not a threat? And am I in the right mindset? Am I in the right mindset, right? Because you're doing a job where sometimes the police officer might be doing a job where he feels threatened or he feels he's in danger and he may not know how to respond. Maybe it's needs a lack of training. Maybe it's a lack of experience. Maybe it could be a multitude of things. It doesn't always become a race factor. It's not a race thing all the time. It could be a lot of other factors take place.
So you were of the conversation that cops need more training. You don't believe in defund the police. You believe in invest in the police.
So here's that's good. That's a good question. I started out.
I said defund, not defend, right? I said defund.
You did defund. Okay. I started out thinking, man, if they defund, and so I had a different idea of what defunding meant. Okay. And so originally the idea of defund that I was getting and I was becoming privy to was, hey, take money away and put it into social things to help the community so that you will have less of these situations of crime and violence and all this kind of stuff. And that to me could have been anything like more social workers or more maybe more education, more school programs or something for kids, to keep them off the streets, keep them out of these situations where they're getting caught up in the streets doing stuff and now they getting locked up and they really don't need to be. They could have been focused on doing other things with their time and energy. But then it's funny because I started to find out that a lot of people's idea of defund the police was, and here my thing was, I wasn't even thinking that you need to take a huge portion away. I was thinking like a minimal cut. Just enough to just kind of help slide into these other areas because you're going to need police everywhere. Everywhere, okay? You always need something. I mean, I got a buddy that's a security at a club. It's like you always need somebody standing guard just in case, again, something hits the fan and you need someone there to de-escalate the situation, or sometimes de-escalation means violence. Sometimes it gets physical, right? I mean, sometimes that's the only way to calm people down or get people to become a non-threat.
To match the emotion, to bring them down.
Exactly. So I didn't know anything about the whole, what I started to later learn, which was a lot of them had like huge cut 50% of their budget. And I'm like, ooh. And then it's like even further than that where I had conversations with people that legit told me, and I was even speaking at other rallies where it was like I went to a rally and I was speaking and I had a woman come up to me and was like, hey, not only do we need to defund them, we need to eventually abolish them completely. And I was like, are you serious?
Yeah.
And she was dead serious. She was dead serious. And so that made me think,
a world without security?
Something is a little bit off. And they could be her background, it could be the way she brought up, and she may have had certain experiences that led her to that conclusion. But that's when I realized when it comes to policy and it comes to laws in this country, the law needs to stand. There needs to be a law that stands.
Law and order.
Like just period.
Yep.
Because you have people that because of the way how they feel, they don't care about if it's right or wrong.
So you're talking about an ironclad law that's basically parallel to the Constitution.
We have a Constitution, period.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the supreme law of the land, and that's the reason why we have things.
That is crazy. That is crazy that you would find that type of division within an organization, and I guess a rally that you brought together just for understanding and just coming together. That does, and a little bit too. So tell me a little bit about post, or I guess pre junior high. Where were you born and raised?
I was born in the city of Chicago.
Okay.
And I was really young at the time. I didn't spend a lot of my life. I mean, by the time I was in, I guess like by the time I was in like 5th grade, we were in a suburb that's like 15 minutes away from the city. So I mean, it's still pretty close, right? Yeah. So you run into a lot of the similar type of people that you would run into in the city, just trying to get away somewhere where it's not as bad, because it was bad, right? I had, I could tell you a few times where I was in somebody's house in the city, at my grandma's house, and my mom, at my home or whatever, where it's like, they're shooting outside. Get down. Yeah. You got to get down. You got to duck behind the couch. You got to lay on the floor, lay down on the ground. And so as a kid, your heart is racing. Yeah. I mean, it's like adrenaline like no other. Yeah. Oh my God, what's going on? It's loud. It's like, and you hear people yelling outside, and you hear a gun pop, 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 pop. And so, but that was like, after the first couple of times of experiencing that, it's like, okay, same routine. Like, we know the drill, right? We know the drill. So it's a situation where I could tell you out in the suburbs, or at least definitely where I'm at now, plenty of people that I could share that with, they can't share that back. They never been in a situation like that, so they don't know what that's like. Yeah. So, and sometimes those are the people that might say something like, "Oh, abolish the police." Well, when somebody's shooting outside your house and your kids got to duck down, you're looking for somebody to take out these threats or whatever is going on out there.
You've seen interviews and surveys of these communities like, we do not want the cops to go. If anything, we want more cops around.
Right. Yeah. That's true. That's exactly. I've seen that, and because when you're really in it, you're really in it. Yeah. And so it's a different outlook. It's a different perspective. It's a different point of view. And you got people offering what are like very unexperienced ideas. Yeah. Like, the only reason why you would say abolish them completely is because you have no experience when you need them, where you might actually need some type of organized militia that's trained to handle threats. Yeah. Period. Yeah.
So in that case, growing up like that, what was your, I guess, 2 questions. What was your perception of the police, and then were you ever given the talk?
Okay.
Let's go. Were you ever given the talk, and what is your perception of the talk?
Okay. So let's say growing up in that situation, and that's why I have to say that I was very young. Okay. Because I wasn't really that developed. Okay. I wasn't a teen. You're a child. In that situation. I was a child. Right, exactly. So I wasn't even having a perspective of a teen that's going from boy to man. Okay. So there's a lot of things that I would say I didn't even know. Yeah. I didn't even know what's going on in an environment. I didn't even know the need to move, why we had to move. I had no idea that, we got to get out of this place. We can't stay in here. We got to do something. We got to move somewhere where it's safer. We got to go somewhere where there's better schools, where there's better everything, right? So perception, fear, in distress, and just not knowing, right? For a child, that's as far as it went for me. There was no deeper thought like, I'm not questioning, well, why? Yeah. Well, why? Well, what caused this? And what's the history? I'm not thinking of what the history of it might be. Yeah. What is history to a child?
Yeah. Yeah, honestly.
What is history to a child? Yeah. You've been nowhere. You've done nothing. Yeah. Right? So everything is present moment, and your whole perspective is present moment. None of it is, you're not even think, what is the future to a child? Yeah. Every kid, I want to grow up. When I was a kid, you want to be older. I want to be 9. I can't wait till I'm 10. I can't wait till and then you get there, and it's like, wait a minute, what's up with all these bills? Yeah. What's up with all these taxes? Yeah.
Increase them, please.
Yeah. Right. Oh, man, that's crazy.
Increase them so other people can enjoy their lives.
Right.
But we'll get to that later.
Yeah, that's a whole nother.
Disclaimer, too, so my laptop is actually broken. So my laptop is my phone right now. So some of these news clippings that I am popping up that will be in the descriptions, I'm actually looking them up because I have them jotted down. So. Yeah. But So that is your perception, which is a pretty normal, in my opinion, not being in your shoes. That's a pretty normal perception for a child.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And it is what it is to a point where it's not even something you think about because it's like breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Right.
Which is kind of sad, but it is what it is.
Right.
So then what was your leaving the city, going home, having that back and forth, growing up in that situation? What was your perception of the police? And then how go ahead, answer that question. We'll get to that.
And this is crazy.
The talk.
Well, I don't even know what the talk is.
Okay.
Personally.
So
you know
of the talk though, right?
I know of the talk. Of the talk. I wasn't given a direct talk.
Okay.
What I was given, and I'm gonna tell you what it is. And for a lot of people, media shaped my perception. Movies, watching stuff on TV shaped my perception of what a police officer is. Well, that was the most contact I had with a police officer is through media.
Okay.
Acting.
Yep.
I'm not talking to cops on the street as a kid. I'm not meeting police officers. I'm not getting pulled over. I can't get pulled over because I can't even drive.
That is interesting that you say that, because you see now a lot of times that people like that little kid show, Paw Patrol.
Right.
They're wanting less viewership towards understanding what a cop's role is, what a fireman's role. That's a little weird to me. Why would you do that?
Well,
why would you strip society's understanding of what they should be?
And it's interesting because, like, in school, of course, and then let me not overlook that, because in school there's situations where it's police officers are brought up and it's talked about, like, oh, this is a fireman, this is a police officer, this is a, But look, this is not a real interaction with a real police officer until we had, like, when I was in school, there was DARE, the DARE program, which was all about keeping kids away from doing drugs and stuff like that. And so, we had police coming to the school and give us assemblies and stuff like that.
90% of us did them.
Right. Well, it was, right.
What's that one again? Just how do you spell that?
Right. Which is interesting, because even then, that's still not a real direct one-on-one relationship or conversation with a police officer. Yeah. It's just, I'm in the assembly, I'm with the kids, we all,
Yeah.
And they have you repeat after this, repeat. What do you do when you have to say no? And then all the kids say no, right? Yeah. So
there was one, I don't know if you remember this. I actually sometimes, when people talk about cocaine, this actually,
cocaine's one hell of a drug. Cocaine. Who said that? I think that was on Chappelle's show or something. Cocaine's one hell of a drug. Yeah, Rick James on there. It was funny. Yeah.
We had it was at a junior high. The most impressionable one that, like I said, till this day I still think about it, of this gentleman talking about his addiction, how he would wake up, look in the mirror, take a line, have a bloody nose, do another line, just get to the point where he was a hot mess of blood and cocaine, and he kept going. I was thinking to myself, like, God, it's just, how do you get
and
to
see,
that
and
point?
this is where we start talking about issues and things going on with people that's beyond their race.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
because
is it a culture thing? Because there are people who actually, I mean, I know we're kind of getting off track here, but there are people that push back against culture. There are people who say it's not a culture thing, it's a race thing. It's like we are pushed in these situations, and it is kind of a weird space, because like I've had friends who literally tell me, he's like, hey, like, why should I get married to someone when I can get more money from the government, single, have a baby mama, they can also get more money. Why would I put myself in this situation? So it is, but is that, I mean, if that's across the board, but only one side knows it, for the most part, I mean, there are more Caucasians than the blacks in this country, but at the same point, you have certain demographics which are more relevant in certain cases, but for them, they believe it's not a culture thing. Like, how do you not, I mean, a culture doesn't have to stem from the race. A culture can just be a melting pot of ideas that happens to be the South Side of Chicago.
Right. Which is actually its own culture.
It is.
It
is
actually,
its
and I
own
mean
culture.
that's beyond race though. And this again, this is why I say
Yeah.
issues that are beyond race, issues beyond culture, cultural differences have nothing to do with race.
Yeah.
Because how many wanksters you met?
Yeah.
White thug dudes that they like straight out of the city, like but see that's a
Junior
culture.
high.
They're involved in a culture. It's not
Yeah.
about their race at that
Yeah,
point. It's
yeah.
about that they're in engaged in this culture.
Yeah.
And so culture is one of those things where I would say that is the foundation of tribalism right
Yeah,
there. That's it's culture, not
It
race.
goes, it goes
Yeah.
beyond. It goes beyond race.
Well, you
And-
have races that are the same race, but they fighting because they have different opposing cultural beliefs. You know,
besides the Middle East, Ireland. Do you know the friction in Ireland between the Protestants and the Catholics?
man.
Same color, same
Right.
land, and they despise each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is a little whatever. We won't get into that, but
Yeah.
in that type of environment, they believe that the talk is the one thing that will help their people. And then on the same token, there is another people that believe the talk makes them a victim. It weakens the individual, but that's how they see it. They see it as the individual, and other people see it as the culture. Culture in the sense of like this is we have to do this. We have to have the talk. How
Well, let's
else am I
talk
gonna
about
say
the
that?
talk. Let's talk about the talk, right? And let's call it what it is. So, like, talk to me, is just my way of describing the talk. Is like, okay, because you're a certain race and you're growing up, you might have somebody in your family, maybe your father, maybe your older brother, maybe whoever, your mom, whoever, and say, hey, because you're this skin color, because you're this race, you're gonna have to deal with police. The police see you in a different way, just because of your skin color and no other reason, and just because they are police and no other reason, regardless of the race of that police officer, regardless of the culture that police, regardless, doesn't matter. Regardless where that police officer grew up or where they came. But see what I'm saying? Because this is the flaw of that talk, if that's the way the talk is that it's based on.
And you've never had the talk, right? You just
No. Nah.
You've heard people's understanding of the
Man, I
talk.
watch comedians on stage, black
Yeah.
comedians, where they get on there. You know how it is when a brother get pulled over by the police, right? We got a whole nother scenario in
Yeah.
our mind, and we
And Dave
act
Chappelle did a whole
different.
skit
But
on
see,
it.
what's funny about that is it's crazy. He did do, and there's been many that done
Yeah.
skits. If you ever watch BET comedy, man, I
I
watched
think
some stuff. Look.
Chris Rock did something on that.
Oh yeah,
I think he
I
did.
think every black comedian did a skit
Yeah.
on black men dealing with police.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's interesting because it seemed to be like it's always more of a threat for the black man than the black woman,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is very interesting, right? Because it's like, whoa, wait a minute, because
We-
that's not a racial thing. Now that's a gender thing, right?
We
This
are
is-
incarcerated the most.
Right,
we tend
right,
to be
right,
more
right,
physical, more
right.
aggression. Yeah.
But it like belongs to one
Yeah.
gender
Yep.
more than the other, which is which is something else that should be looked at, right? Not just But anyways, yeah. So you get all of this stuff from TV. People don't realize how much stuff we get from TV.
Yeah.
TV shit. It's shaping kids. Now it's kids, it's tablets.
It is so
It's
weird.
like, look at the tablet. So it's like kids are picking up on what's on the tablet more than they're looking at the tablet more than they. Mom, Dad is tired.
Yeah.
I've been at work all day. I got time for you kids. Get the damn tablet and just
the
do it.
the handful of networks have their own handful of sub networks within their own news media, and then on top of that, they own their own wings that have their own comedy section, their own drama section, their own action. It's a machine.
Yeah.
It's actually so bad. So I actually this is also another news article that came out. The BBC's under fire.
Yeah.
So the BBC in England, we'll circle back on the talk. The BBC in England.
I'm not
got
circling
attacked.
back on nothing.
No, we're not going back to the talk.
I'm not circling back on nothing. I just won't use the phrase
The talk.
circle back.
Okay.
Because I know where that came from.
Explain
I
that.
know.
I don't know where that's from.
Somebody in the media is known for saying, I'm going to circle back. I'm going to circle back. I'm going to circle back. I'm like,
Is this Mr. Cuomo?
no, I mean, is it? Does he use it too?
I think he
Who
does.
started it? What does that mean? What does that mean to circle back? let's talk about circle back.
Okay.
Right? Does that mean I don't want to deal with this right now?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Jen. Okay.
You already
White
know.
House
You already know.
correspondent.
You already know. Now, here, I don't have a problem with you circling back if you make it back around.
Okay.
If you make it back around, it works.
Yeah.
We got to make it back though.
This is how
Can't be using it to avoid the tough questions.
This is how we go in this circle. Well,
Yeah.
we will circle back to Jen in a
Yeah,
minute,
yeah.
but the BBC got under fire. So apparently, when Princess Diana was alive, there was some manipulation by her interviewer to get to a point where it had Diana thinking a certain way and saying things she normally wouldn't to have the crown look a certain way. There was some really sketchy stuff that the BBC was doing. And it was
propaganda.
it was the individual, right? But working for our organization, it's the BBC. America has a problem, it's the president. Who's in charge? The BBC, right? So the BBC in England, they do things a lot different. You can't talk against the crown. The freedom of speech rights are a little bit different. I had no idea.
Less freedom of speech?
Less freedom of speech to the point where you can't talk shit about the Queen. And the Queen funds the BBC. I had no idea about this. And
Yeah, it's like if you hired your own paparazzi.
Yeah.
I think we had a reality show person that did that.
Hire their own
Probably
paparazzi.
most of them. I know people that bought their following
Yeah.
for Instagrams
Yep.
and social media. Buy your own media, right? It's
Perception is
propaganda,
key.
man. Propaganda been doing this since Mao Zedong.
Yeah.
Been doing this since where they get this from? This is not. This is old news.
Well,
This is old news. This has been done a long time ago. It has
Yeah.
been passed down over time. Technology has amplified
Yeah.
the speed and power of the propaganda.
I had
But
bu-
propaganda
yeah.
is still based on the same
Yeah.
thing. I'm going to control the perceptions of others around me. It starts with maybe before you had media, you just had people that lied.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell a lie. I'm just going to lie. Or I'll
circle
partial
back.
truth. Partial truth.
Circle
right?
back isn't really lying. It's just putting things aside. She actually, you know what's crazy? So this happened.
It's deception.
Fox News reporter asked Jen Psaki, hey, he pretty much was on the line of, the pipeline was just attacked.
Yeah.
And now you have the meat industry attacked. Is the Biden administration going to do anything about this? This is an infrastructure problem is where he was coming from. And she goes, that's a private sector question that you'd probably need to ask them.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
When did the left become so right in that sense?
Yeah.
You would think they would want to interfere to help. It's shutting down production.
Yeah.
There's a chicken shortage, which is a little weird.
Right.
So there's a chicken shortage. Oil prices are skyrocketing, and what does the administration say? Yeah, it's their problem.
It's a private.
They're under
They
ransom.
drew a line. It's like drawing a line and putting up a fence or a wall or something, right?
It is a little bit different. You had the last
Can't
president-
come in here.
Dude,
Can't look at this.
You had the last president come out and say, getting off his presidential plane. Things are doing great. We sold millions of dollars over to Saudi Arabia for weapons and what is going on?
Right.
He's not only saying the quiet part loud.
He
he's
just
just saying,
telling you what
fuck
it is. It is what it is.
Dude. But it's.
Well, that's what I liked about him. And I think that's what a lot of people.
So you were a Trump fan?
I think he lacks certain communication skills. Like it's sometimes he spoke in a way that it came off harsh, but it was kind of like, I really don't care. It is what it is. This is just the facts, right?
Some called it a New Yorker mindset, a New Yorker style, and others called it a Nazi, a fascist Nazi overlord emperor.
Well, those people don't know what real Nazi. They don't know what it really is, right? Because if you call that's not what it is. Somebody telling you something without sugarcoating it. That's to me. That's like, but see, that to me is like, I would have to say, that's a quality that my dad has. My father has that quality where he'll just tell you what it is, and he don't really care how you feel about it.
Yep.
Now, because I grew up like that type of talk doesn't bother me. I was a football player.
Yeah.
Coaches don't, man.
Yeah.
Coaches don't give a damn about your feelings. You got coaches that smack you upside the helmet and say a lot of things that they probably get fired for saying it if somebody knew. I knew a coach, one of our coaches got fired because he said something. A parent was nearby from the house listening in or watching their kid practice, and they complained, and the coach got fired. And it's funny because over time, right, I've seen, football programs get completely abolished from schools, taken out of schools.
Out of what was the reasoning?
Let me not say schools. I'm going to say that I was hearing from kids in the neighborhood that the school, they had way less participants. They had way less people on the roster. Mm-hmm. They had like half the roster they had before. So it's almost like something has influenced the canceling of this type of sport or this type of environment for young boys, which is a hardcore, physical, in your face. I mean, it's probably one of the most,
that is a weird. I think it was Jersey. There was an eastern city that said, you know what, we're going to defund the police. Not a problem. They defunded the entire police force and gave it all to the state. It's like, what? What?
What state what did they do?
I'm pretty sure this is Jersey.
Just let me know where they at. I don't want to. Let me know. If you driving around that neighborhood, you need to be prepared.
Yeah. But let's circle back to Donald Trump. He was saying things loud that people were listening to, and he was not describing. Let's talk about the Paris Climate Accords.
Mm-hmm.
So people would yell and say, "Hey, we need to be part of the Paris Climate Accords, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is something that we need to do. It's our responsibility." They believe that the industrial revolution that's still going on today, we are destroying the planet. That's what they believe. So we need to be part of this conversation. Well, they were not only meeting the Accords requirements, they're exceeding it. Well, China is considered a third world country, and they are going beyond. I mean, they got coal plants popping up like pimples. Mm. And Donald Trump was like,
because
why?
Of their...
It's like funding. They were funding and being part of a pact and an organization that was useless. China is considered a third world country. That doesn't make any sense.
Now, why are they considered a third world country? Because of
UN and because of how the legal trading agreements around the world are made. They are considered a third world country on that status. Now, what does that do? That shields them from some of the overpricing they would have to, put on some of these industries that take advantage of their cheap labor.
So it's like welfare for them. It's like they getting, it's cheaper for them, basically. It's special.
It's cheaper for us. It's not cheaper for them.
Explain it to me. Yeah, I'm not understanding it. Yeah.
So the reason why, our phones and our material items are so cheap is because they have such cheap labor. If they were going to be considered higher, if they're going to be in that tax bracket of, the 1% of countries that are first world, they would have to abide by these climate decisions to basically roll back. You can't have, this is just an exaggeration. You can't have like 5 coal plants in one county.
Right.
So it's just like you can't even have one. It needs to be set up differently. They'd be scrutinized. China does whatever China wants.
Right.
That was right. I hear a lot.
Now, do you think that is that some sort of advantage for them that they can do whatever that's what I'm saying. It's like a special treatment for them because they're considered third world.
People would call them the tech thieves.
Right.
So what do? They enjoy taking the world's business to create their own Tesla. I mean, there was a company out of Jersey that was making the most efficient, costly. They're making the most cost efficient windmills.
Yeah.
China took it. They under President Obama. I label it.
They're getting benefit. It's benefiting them to have all of this technology. They're replicators. They can just replicate.
Well, I was saying under President Obama because Obama didn't do anything about it, and they contacted them, try to get support, but they basically broke into this company's network and stole the blueprints, made them cheaper, and sold them to America.
And they were allowed to do it. I mean, and they were, you know.
They have cheap iPhones over there. They have,
Right.
knockoff Nikes. They have knockoff coaches. So they're building it, and what are they doing? They're taking people's money. What are the fastest growing industries in America? Your dollar days, right? Your cheaper stores. They're just doing it on a massive scale, gaining 14% a year in their global GDP. We're not even near that anymore. They're racing up. They're coming.
Where are we at? Are we at like 6 or something? Like
I'm pretty sure we're like between 3 and 2.
3 and 2.
Yeah, but I mean we're still ahead. But the country grows when its people thrive, and when you tax the people, how are they supposed to thrive? When governments left and right tax. Right? When they go ahead and they tax the individual, what you're doing is saying, hey, there are current systems, there are Walmarts, there are Costco's, there are Amazons out there that do the job fine. So we're going to keep taxing you, and you will keep on with these systems. So, let me break it down. If another company wants to be created, they're now going to have to jump through loops. They're going to have much more liquidity to create their own company, to go against companies that are known for squashing the competition. I mean,
right.
Amazon was just trying to shut down the Federal Express, UPS. You know?
Well, the tax hikes are creating barriers.
Yeah,
for any company that's trying to grow. It's becoming hard because you can't get over that ceiling because the tax is stopping you from because you can't be because it's not just about getting there, it's about being competitive at that level. Right? Yeah. It's about being competitive at that level. So it's like
and what are some of the solutions for these? I don't it all comes down to the local level. It all comes down, in my opinion, to your county, to your township. It has to start local, in my opinion, because that's where things get done. I mean, you have governors. Saying we'll do whatever the fuck we want. You have Texas, Florida putting out these tech censorship laws, putting up these gun sanctuary states, going against the federal mandate. And some would call that an act of war, but for the most part, the feds aren't gonna, And now they just they're just trying to get this ATF agent, that Waco guy. Did you hear about this?
No.
So you heard about Waco, right?
Yeah, I watched the documentary. I was one of the craziest, wildest. If you haven't watched or even looked into Waco, there's a movie.
Okay.
That's well made, well created. Because I watched like the documentary of it first.
Is this on Netflix?
I feel like everything is on Netflix.
Is it?
But no, it's not though. I always think that it is. That's what I'm saying. I feel like something is on Netflix and you go look it up. It's like you go to search and it's like titles like this. It's like, it's not on there. Like damn. But it's probably on YouTube. I find a lot of stuff is on YouTube.
Okay.
If you're willing to rent it, they'll show it to you.
Well, yeah.
So that's a place to look.
This was the guy that was basically saying, hey, we're going to make the FBI well known. We're going to go in here. We're going to take over this cult. Didn't do quietly. Went ahead, basically.
One hell of a cult, let me tell you.
Well, he invited the media.
Right.
He basically had no idea, in my opinion, that the length that they were willing to go for their own freedom, right? And I'm not defending them. But their own freedom and their own right to they want to kill themselves, they want to kill someone else. They went to a pretty dark place, and the FBI went in there, shot some gas grenades. It was a mess, man.
If you guys haven't seen it, you guys need to see it. If you haven't seen this is one of the most. I feel like this should be studied in school. You know what I mean? This is stuff that is.
It seems like just ego. So basically what it comes down to is you have someone who created my perceived notion is you had an individual who was part of a government organization who basically royally fucked up. Now in charge of an administration that is perceivably hell-bent on taking weapons.
Right.
And the reason why I say that is because his definition of an automatic rifle was like 29 rounds. So listen. At one point in this country, they were manufacturing machine guns and and Nest guns. And I'm not saying every American should have machine guns or Nest guns, right? But for the most part, there does need to be, I hate saying this, there does need to be some type of common sense legislation. Ted Cruz and Dan Crenshaw out of Texas, and they came up with, it's called the red flag laws, right? And it was shut down, which is surprising. Ted Cruz, he came from the Tea Party movement.
Yeah.
His solutions for it were, basically like, hey, there's a database, right? Conservatives don't like the database, and there's some leftists that don't like the database either. And I'm not trying to put those extremes because leftist is a little bit more extreme than conservative, right? But it's basically a database that basically puts people on watch. Now, what it also does is it crosses.
Nobody likes to be watched.
It crosses the DOD. There's a lot of vets. There's a lot of individuals who work for the government who have profiles that are basically covered and they're not seen by local law enforcement. Ted Cruz wants to get rid of that. Said, hey, you want access to these people. So I can understand people's hesitation with the list.
Yeah.
But hey,
who wants to be on the list?
Well, the FBI has.
You want to be on the list?
The FBI has people on the list, and they fuck up all the time. How many times have you heard about mass shooters being on the FBI's watch list, and they're just like, what are they doing?
Well, that was a screw up. So with Waco, it was a screw up not just with the ATF, but also with the FBI. Wasn't it? Or was it just the ATF?
No, this was the FBI.
Okay, but wasn't the ATF
FBI? I mean, they had multiple organizations there.
Right, they were supposed to be working. It was like a joint operation, right? It escalated at a certain point where the FBI took over.
Yeah,
because the ATF couldn't.
They cornered these people, and they passed out.
This was crazy. You watch this. Yes. Go learn about this. This was wow. This was.
They cornered these people. They passed out. Smoke grenades caught shit on fire and these people died. It was
the whole building was. It was like they drove a tank in there too, didn't they?
Yeah,
I mean, it was becoming like a.
The guy that ran this is now the ATF leader, and I don't. It's not that I don't understand.
That ran the what?
Ran the operation.
Okay. He's in charge of the ATF.
Yeah,
and he's been since that he just recently became, or how long has he been?
They just appointed him. Yeah, they just appointed him.
That's interesting.
But it is kind of a weird. It is kind of a weird state how people just the solutions they have.
Yeah.
Putting the wrong people in charge. California. Speaking of putting the wrong people in charge, did you know they have a poop patrol? Reggie, do you know what a poop patrol is?
You know what, man? Look.
Do you know what a poop patrol is, Reggie? All right. Listen, we're not going off of tangents, but the solutions that these people have, they have homeless on the street. They have a poop patrol, which is just like, your firemen. This is a public funded organization, department.
To clean up shit.
What's the problem? Well, there's homeless everywhere. Okay, well, should we talk?
So it was okay. So and I think I heard something about this on a podcast somewhere. There was a thing, there was a law or something that passed, right, where you're allowed to just go on the street, right?
Yes.
People are allowed to take a shit wherever they want to go.
Yeah.
Now, there's got to be something to that, right? Because there's got to be a lot to that. Does that mean you could just get naked and just squat down in front of people and do it, or do you have to do it? Isn't there something like with being obscene in public where you can't just pull out?
I don't know the specifics, but I do know that it's meant to protect and shield the homeless.
Right. Okay.
But
it's for homeless people. But do regular people that are not homeless partake in this? Do they just say whatever? I don't care.
I don't know. I hope not.
That's crazy, man. Just the whole idea, just the whole thing is just like the fact that you got to get. I guess you got to get somebody out there to clean up.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
I mean, but can it be like when, for example, with dogs? If you walking your dog take a shit, you got to scoop it up. Clean. Can they enforce that on the homeless people? Like, hey, you got to clean up. But see, then it's like, where do they put it?
Yeah. What do you mean where they put it?
How do they?
I don't know.
How do they get rid of it? Is there?
I don't know.
I guess that's why you gotta have a patrol.
The poop man
to come in.
Like the milkman, the poop man.
Man
rolls up. There's an app for it.
Skirt. I mean, that's just wild, man. I've never heard of,
California.
Is it solving the problem though? Is it helping?
No. And it's weird because you have solutions that just don't make any sense.
Who came up with that?
I want to say it was L.A. or San Diego. Regardless, it is a county-ran thing. And
So
now,
a lot of people in L.A.
Well, now
how much homeless do they have? Do they have a database? Are they keeping track of how many homeless people they have?
I don't know. I doubt it because if they really cared that much, they would talk to them. They would try to help them. What's the problem? Now, I'm sure some people have, and I'm sure there are homeless out there that really just would rather be on the streets. I'm sure there's homeless out there that would rather be begging for money because some of these homeless make pretty good money begging. But what I will say is the solution of not – it's gotten to the point now where the governor has overstepped the county. Right, because so the feds and the feds, state, county, local, it's almost like the feds tell the governors what to do. The governors can tell you to F off or do whatever they want for the most part. Not supposed to. In California, now the governor is telling counties that don't really favor him, hey, your beachfront needs to be used. There's beachfronts in these blue counties that are being used for the homeless to sleep. They're pushing them off the streets onto the beaches. I don't.
Man, this sounds like such a and the thing. Here's my thing with this. It's not an inevitable problem. Like it's not something that's going to happen regardless.
Yeah.
Because you look around the country, we ain't got that going on everywhere. I mean, this is an isolated thing going on over here.
Conservatives say it's a blue illness. It's just in major New York,
it's an
Chicago.
Illness.
San Diego, Portland. Why is it?
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like, if it is a certain style or type of government, governing. See, that's the thing. It's not something where you got to guess and check. Like we've had it's been proven to us what's going on in these certain places.
Yeah,
you can see it.
Yeah.
It has a track record. You can go and look. It's happening. It's happening, right? So we don't say, well, what is this? What are these people doing, and what are these people not doing? Are they doing a good job? What are they doing? Well, look at the result.
Yeah.
How long? Illinois been for how long? We've been blue for how long?
Ooh.
Chicago's been blue for how long? Like over 100 years? How long?
I don't know about 100 years, but I know probably we haven't had, besides Bruce Rauner, we haven't had a red governor. I want to say maybe 4 governors ago, maybe 5. What are the solutions to that? You have cities that are basically handing these people tents, funding the tents, funding their lifestyles. And then you have cities going up in flames. Minnesota, Portland.
Yeah.
Their crime. You know what the crime rate in Portland is? What the murder rate went up? 800%.
Since they've defunded the police, right?
800%. Yeah, I don't understand. So
there you go. And so now you had a test run. You had a test run to see what happens when you do that.
So
didn't help the problem.
Yeah.
It made it 800% times, like it's way worse, right? So experiment over.
Yeah.
Clean it up, man.
Yeah.
It's not getting no better. It's just getting worse and worse and worse. So look, that's the solution. So if anybody had a question and they said that, well, if you just defund the police, it would solve all our problems.
Yeah.
We got plenty of examples of what happened when you did that.
And then it fosters more of that mindset. You got mayors in cities, Mayor Lightfoot, telling people, I'm only gonna talk.
Lori.
Dude, I'm only talking to black and brown. I know we're kind of getting all over the place with this.
I sent you a bunch of emails. Lori, I sent you some emails. Respond, please.
Dude. Across the board, the mindset of these people, I don't understand. When did they lose their sense of solutions? The solutions aren't to be more segregated. The solutions aren't to, I don't understand how they help handicapped people more. Paying for the tents.
You're supporting the lifestyle. It's like if you got a drug addict and you're just giving them a place to do their drugs and supplying it.
Yeah.
And you're saying, I'm helping them.
Yeah.
Well, you're helping them continue to do what they've been doing. You're not helping them change their ways. you know. And here's the thing with people. You can't make a person change until they want to change, we have to decide as individuals that we're going to make a change. Yeah. If I'm like, I'm sick and tired of being homeless and I want to change my life and I'm about to do this.
Yeah.
However, there is a such thing as influence.
Yeah.
There is a such thing as influence, right? And so when you're
Influence from who?
Influence can come from anything.
Okay.
Come from
media,
LeBron. It's already been used in the media to influence people to vote. You can't influence homeless people to get up and get off the streets.
Yeah.
You can influence everybody to do anything else. You influence people to defund the police.
Yeah.
You can't influence the homeless people to get up and get something, or find a way, or create a program, or figure something out to get them going.
Yeah.
But if your solution is to just support their homelessness, then that's the result. It just gets worse. It becomes a bigger problem. You're sustaining that existence for them. It's actually, you're making them more homeless in a sense, you know?
Mentally.
Well, yeah, because you're making it easier for them to just not do anything, right? So it's just a you know, there is a solution though.
Yeah.
We can't, don't sit up here and act like the homelessness is something that cannot be solved, because that's not true.
But sometimes the solutions that they come up with, right? When I say they, okay, we're not trying to take sides, left or right sides, to the point, but they come up with solutions like, hey, let's. What it comes down to is that people don't know their own history, right? 1619 Project, critical race theory, helping out these people, giving more money, taxing the individuals. I don't
Identity politics. We've seen it all. What has it done? What good? Like, you know, I mean it.
Yeah. Identity politics. You know, it's Jordan Peterson goes over this quite a bit. Jordan Peterson talks about how identity politics is different than tribalism, right? Mm. So Jordan Peterson is a professor at Toronto. I don't know if he's still a professor. He had some hardships in his life, so he kind of stepped away from the limelight. But he was basically going on his talk tours and saying that basically there are answers out there. You know, all the questions that we keep trying to think about, there are answers with proven facts behind them, with solutions.
Solution to every problem. There's an answer to every question that you know.
And he talks about identity politics as more something of the socialist, something of the communist, right? So, and that,
true, yeah. And Mao Zedong, Cultural Revolution. Yeah. I mean, that's a, you know,
because everyone. I mean, for the longest in human history, we've always been tribal, right? Identity politics is more of a newer thing, right? It's more of a cultural, because it basically it cuts through the grain of the inequality argument versus outcome, right? Because everyone wants a better outcome. But when you start trying to please every single person, you will be stepping over others' rights. At what point?
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
You
but
can't,
then if
they're
do that, yeah. This silent majority that the conservatives talk about, right? Where are you? Where were you when you were supposed to vote? Right? Trump.
Silence.
That was one of the problems I had with Trump. He did not come out against big tech that was censoring these people. He did not help out in some of these major issues. Now, mind you, he did the Abraham Accords, which helped out in the Middle East, right? He cut taxes, and the economy was the best that we've ever seen, you know? He was helping out with these opportunity zones, right, in black communities. I don't understand, though. I mean, I get it. He can't do everything.
One man can't do it. And that's the reason why, you know, we have this situation where you get somebody like that's coming out here, I'm going to do this, do that, do that. And, you know, he did do a lot of things. You know, he did do a lot of things.
Yeah.
Can he do everything? No, he can't do everything. And so that's why it becomes a situation where people like you and myself, we see things being done that are good examples of what could be done, right? We feel the need to get on here and try to help by sharing information with people, because people are lacking information, right? I didn't even know what some of the stuff he was doing.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
Wait, what? I'm like, who were you?
Well, see, and that's where people need. I mean, I had a conversation with a leftist, and and they were elderly, and I asked them. I said, hey, do you know what your congressman does Like, what do you mean? Like, do you know what your mayor, what kind of laws they passed? Do you know what your local leadership is a part of? I don't have time to watch C-SPAN all day. It was like there's other tools out there that even the Democrats and certain Republicans, right? What's Liz Cheney? These rhinos, Mitch McConnell, these rhinos in the Republican Party are just as bad. You know, and
and that's the situation, and that's why I would never say that I'm like one side. Yeah. Look, what does that mean? What does that mean? I don't even know what that's about. Yeah. All I know is this person is doing what.
Yeah.
This person is doing what. I don't care who you affiliated, what kind of flag you waving. Show me your work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Show me your work. You show me your worth.
Yeah. Don't Nancy Pelosi. Don't show me your ice cream. Don't show me your net worth of like freaking millions. Like, how are you making?
Show me where you found a salon that was open to do your hair. Nobody could get their hair done.
It was not Nancy's fault.
Yeah, she
was told to go in there. She was pulled in there. She was set up.
She set it up. she set it up. How'd you get in there?
But even Mitch McConnell, like some of these, they're all friends. They all eat together, play golf together. All these establishments, left and right. And
they've been making that money. Look, they've been out there doing what they've been doing. Exactly. Comfortable. And I would say this is very much a parallel to the homeless people, because they sitting there and they doing what they've been doing, and they've been allowed to do it, and they've been supported in that lifestyle. It's like you're sponsoring them to do this, right? And so, why would they change?
Yeah.
Why would a lot of people?
And this brings me to some people's solutions, right? Antifa. Okay, so Biden says they don't exist. Come on. Anyway, Antifa. You know, you were talking about this earlier. I think I understand them. We have friends in our own circles that are actually sympathizers. I say sympathizers to these. Some would call them terrorist organizations.
It's just an idea.
They don't.
It's just an idea, man. I'm supposed to look.
We gotta stay on track. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Well, sure to understand them is to.
Well, they see it. They see the red and the blue working together, stealing, making millions, destroying systems of help. You know, Ben Shapiro talks about.
They're correct about some things. Look. Can we say that honestly? Yeah, they have some things. Yeah. Some things they are accurate on. Yeah. You know, now just because you're accurate about something, does that mean that you're doing what it's going to take to solve these issues? Are you doing things to solve these issues, or are you just organizing things?
We are not calling for any call to violence, and we are not condoning any of the violence that they are part of. So that's a little disclaimer. I want people to know that we do not at all support the violence. We condemn the violence. But what we are saying is the ideology of the frustration, I would say, right? But see, that goes along the lines of some of these leftists that say they're frustrated with the cops. It's kind of like, well, there's truth in everything, but for the most part, something we all can agree with is there's way too many politicians that have been in power longer than we've been alive. Let's be honest. They got to go, not forcibly, not violently. We got to vote them out. But some of the solutions that they have, Philadelphia, for instance, I don't know if you know about Philadelphia. So Philadelphia, there was a mayor running, a moderate Democrat, got ousted by a progressive who said, we need to get rid of the police. The moderate said, we need to fund them more. They need more education. And this is a solution that I believe makes sense, right? Yeah. You listen to some of these cops do some of the interviews, they get sometimes like an hour a year on some of these training. Like come on. Like some of these interactions.
That ain't enough.
That's not enough,
That ain't enough. And I watch, and I'm glad you brought this up, because one of the best examples of how to handle the situation, of course, this person is not an elected official. But they got a great idea. I don't know if you've ever heard or if you're familiar with Jocko Willink.
Yeah.
Okay, so he was on a show. I think he was on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure he was, actually. And he was breaking down he was just offering his analysis of what's going on with the police. What's wrong? What's the issue with the training and all of this stuff. And what he did is he used his military background. And what he said was basically what they did when they were in these foreign countries and they were in charge of a certain area or they had to occupy a certain area. How they would, and I thought it was amazing when he was saying, how they would connect with the people of the community that they were patrolling, right? And so he was big on creating relationships with the community to make their job easier, getting familiar with the community.
Building that trust.
Yeah, building a trust, building a rapport with the people, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was and he said a lot of other things, you know, because obviously I can't remember everything he said. I think he went on like a 30-minute.
Jocko's been everywhere, and Joe Rogan has a lot of podcasts.
Man, but see, he offered so many simple things that can be done to solve the issues that we got going on. But a big part of it is the training. He said that they trained a lot more in the military. Yeah. They had a lot more training on how to de-escalate and how to, you know what I mean? How to engage and how to, they had way more training. I mean, and look, I'm not surprised. Look at the military budget. Yeah. Look at our military budget. Yeah. You know. Yeah. Look at the money that's being put, you know, so.
I will say just from.
How much of what's the percentage of our budget is going to military? I looked at a circle chart a long time ago. It was like, man, is it like more than half
of our budget? I know it's a lot.
Close to half or more than half?
It's more than half. I know we have the most in the world for nations.
More than half of our budget is going towards military.
So this was something that is a little weird to me that people want to shut it down. People say the left, the social leftists, the socialists, I would say, AOC, the Squad, Bernie Sanders says if we were to take that allocated funds and put them towards green deals, we would have a better tomorrow. Well, the thing is, if we did that, we wouldn't be able to turn on the lights. Let's be honest, how much they would reduce in our lifestyles. And now, mind you, this is something that people need to understand. You know, having different types of gasolines, having cheaper bills, having corporations work on ways. Fracking is a perfect example. Okay, I will cut the shit in a second and get to what I'm talking about. But fracking is a horrible practice. At one point, what they were doing to the ground and how they were polluting it. You know, and then we talk about coal plants. Yeah. It's still bad. But they have found ways to make it cheaper for us. They have found ways to cut their carbon footprint. You know, like a lot of these coal factories, a lot of them actually, for the most part, from my understanding, a lot of these factories have a ton of filters, a ton of processes in place to make things better for the environment, right? Now, some would say, hey, like it'd be better if it wasn't even there. But it also would be better if we had the lights on and people were, you know, their diabetes medication was being refrigerated. So it's a weird argument to shut down civilization for the green, you know, and some extremists would say, hey, we need the lights on so we can see the asteroid coming so we can turn on our coal factories to basically get that missile up in the air, right? That's a bit extreme, but what it comes down to is there needs to be some necessary evils, right? These solar farms and these windmills ain't gonna power a damn
pros
thing.
Pros and cons. Okay, you gotta weigh it out. Look, everything has
they bring up Europe, Reggie. Yeah. And here's the problem with Europe. Okay, they don't have a military budget. They rely on us. Their social society, right? They take care of their people. They have 60% tax. They have a perceived socialist, you know, society. But where do you think they get all their revenue from, right? It's themselves, China, the U.S. A lot of their retirements are in U.S. economies. Socialism does not exist without capitalism, right? And just the opposite, capitalism.
It's the backing. It's the backing capital.
Yes.
Capital backs up everything.
Capitalism does not need socialism, but socialism needs capitalism.
Right.
And when you
Because
shut
you got to
down,
have the funding from somewhere to support all of these social constructs that you want to support and pay.
Well, people want to shut it down. They said, you know what? Kill capitalism. We need to take over Amazon.
We'll all be broke. I'll tell you one thing. We won't have no social nothing.
2008.
Maybe that'll be the solution. Maybe we need to just look. And this just funny, but to think about this. Just an idea.
Yeah.
Maybe if people had 1 month, because it won't take long. I think they'll be tapping out within 2 weeks, right? Where there's nothing capital is left, right? Now what? What are you gonna do?
But do you think they would? Reggie? Do you think that some of these people would say, "Hey, let's look at some of these politicians as an individual. Let's say, are their policies right? Are the local solutions that they're saying are right?" Because it looks like they keep voting for the same nonsense and they get the same solution. They're like, oh.
Because they're voting for parties. And like I said earlier, they're voting for parties, blue and red, and it's very like elementary. Oh, it's red. Vote. It's blue. Vote. No. You're voting for parties. You're voting for colors.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, come on,
Yeah.
right? Look at these individuals. Listen to them. Hear them out. What are they talking about? Who's solving this? Who's solving that? What are they doing? What is their history?
Yeah.
What is their history?
Yeah.
Right? I
Well,
mean, I was blown away. I looked into
The Democratic
Mr.
Party?
Joe Biden's history, and I learned a whole lot of
my
things
God.
because, again, but I became interested in it, right?
Yeah.
I became interested in it because I was looking for solutions. So I'm like, well, who offers the best ideas?
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions. Who has answers for these questions?
Yeah.
And
Did Joe
again,
Biden-
it's no longer, and it has nothing to do with it being a Democrat or being. I don't care if he was, he made up his own party. It don't matter.
Yeah.
It don't matter. It's this person and their individual ideas and what it is that they are saying is solution. Does it work or does it not work?
Yeah.
My thing with is a lot of people, they vote for people based on Democrat, Republican, blue, red, right? And then after that person wins, because they all like on the train, man, the band, yeah, come on, Democrats, let's go, blue, blue, blue. And then after that person gets in office,
Yeah.
they don't check in with them. They don't follow up.
No,
they
they
don't
don't.
ask, well, what have you done? They don't even look at them.
Yeah.
Right? Because, we won. What did you win? What did you win? Look at the gas prices.
Yeah.
Tell me what you won.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because I'm not even against, and I'm not even saying that someone can't get better at their job.
Yeah.
But it's going to take the people to hold these people accountable. It's going to take us, the citizens, to hold the people in position accountable.
Yeah.
Okay? And if they're not doing their job, it's time to remove them from their position.
Yep. Vote them
Right.
out.
Vote them out.
Every party has their sins. The Democratic Party, though, has a lot more sins than people know, which is weird to me. You would think they would know their history. You would think they would know the party of the KKK, the party that is just full of its own corruption. Right? The Republican Party.
And that being said, there is corruption in
There
both.
are.
Yeah, there's corruption in everything. We're not saying that there's. Look.
Project Veritas does a really good job.
There's
of
corruption.
exposing both those sides.
100%. Because that is not a biased viewpoint. That is we just need to look at the corruption, period.
Yeah.
And we need to address it, right? We need to just look at that. Because people feel like, oh, you're talking about my party, you're talking about my color, my team, blah, 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 blah. Well,
they
you
find
don't even know your own damn team. Now,
it's an ego thing.
Right.
They think it's a front, like, oh, I would never vote for something like that. You're offending me. Like, come on now. You're finding, people find the smallest reasons to vote for these.
Come on, man.
Yeah. Dude.
You ain't black.
You ain't black.
You ain't black.
He has said worse. He has
look,
said worse.
that's funny. He said
You
worse.
talk about some of the segregation stuff that he said on the House floor, dude. Senate, on the Senate floor.
Right.
I don't. Listen, if you voted for Trump and you didn't get what you wanted, that's on you. If you voted for Biden, the same thing. But if you thought that Biden was going to help a certain people, after the things that he said, and you call Donald Trump a racist? Come on now. You're almost just as bad as the people that you called out, and that voted for him, and I don't understand how you think voting for a guy who, especially right after his own.
Hold on a second. Didn't they have the debates? Didn't his own VP come down on him in the debates?
Yeah. His own vice president called him a racist.
Google it.
Dude.
Look it up. I mean, this is information that is out there. You can watch Kamala Harris
or
scold
yes.
Joe Biden.
Yes.
Scold him. And you got people cheering, oh, yeah, you tell him. Okay, so don't that the history is real. What we're talking about is real. These are real things that you may not be aware of, and you need to inform yourself, because if you're voting for people and you have no idea their history, their background, and what they're about, and where they come from, and everything that they've been involved in, okay, you're gonna lose because you're lacking information. And that's why we're here. We're here to provide information. Now, the old saying, the truth hurts. You might not like what you learn. I looked into stuff and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't know this. Okay, but see, when you start learning and you start asking questions, you're taking responsibility. I'm taking responsibility because now I'm informing myself.
You got to this point from a year ago. You got to the point where even still,
and I'm still nowhere. And that's the thing. I'm still nowhere because I'm not a veteran in politics at all. I don't know.
None of us are.
We're finding things out that's coming out, and stuff is coming out all the time. We got stuff coming up. Stuff is pouring out, right? And
did you hear about his barbershop solution? Reggie, did you hear about that?
I saw something about the barbershops earlier. I don't know what it was. Please tell me. What was it?
He wants to have barbershops be sites of vaccinations to help out communities. Barbershops, salons. Listen, some people were like, hey, come on now. If Trump would have said that, come on now. But like,
come on, man.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
But back to looking up on your own for some of this information. Google isn't the only source out there. There's browser Brave, DuckDuckGo. There's so
shout out to you, man. Shout out to the shout out, man.
Kind of a techie, right?
Yeah.
I'm kind of a techie. Google's not the only one out there, right? They're the monopoly king of it, right? They're the ones you have to basically pay for to be at the top of the charts. But there's more out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's absolutely, 100%, man. You know,
it's a weird state that we're all living in.
Expand your palette.
Yeah.
Expand your palette.
Yeah.
Stop looking at the same news source. Stop looking at the same. You're talking about these your outlets that you're watching are heavily funded.
Yeah.
Heavily funded. Matter of fact, take the time to look up who is in charge.
Exactly. Yeah.
And who they may be associated with.
Yeah, we challenge you.
And who they partnered up with.
You should look at some of these subgroups like Vox and Vice. You know, you'd be surprised to know that Disney and some of these corporations are actually funding some of these subgroups.
Well, there's only how many corporations? Somebody brought this up. What is like 5 corporations that pretty much own everything?
The media families?
Right, they pretty much own everything.
Yeah,
we talk about monopolies, right? We talk about, freedom of speech and freedom of information. Well, when you got some huge companies that pretty much own everything, it's like they're not making way for you to have free thought, freedom of speech. That's not in their agenda. They're not, you know what I mean? But that's why we have a constitution that we need to hold people accountable. Because guess who funded your guy in the race? Guess who funded your guy in the race? My eyes got super big, man. I'm looking at this.
Or guess who asked for endorsements? Joe Biden,
I'm scrolling through
Obama. Dude, how are the Democratic Party looking?
Follow the money. Dude. Follow the money. BLM, follow the money.
Dude, follow the money.
BLM, follow the money. And it got to the point where I felt like I was researching with binoculars. I'm like zoomed in. Dude. Every letter.
Some of these you have David Duke shaking hands with the Democratic Party. Louis Farrakhan.
If you don't know who these people, these individuals,
Dude, they don't know. What's up? You look at
these individuals have formed groups. They're forming their own culture.
We are looking for solutions. The podcast that we were doing here, this is a little highlight of some of the things that we have to offer, some of the insights. We will be having people on this show. We will be interviewing them with some of the stuff that we said here today. I consider ourselves, not well understanding of what's going on, but I feel like we have a pretty good clue.
I see us as, and I'll tell you what I see. I think of us as like, let's say like a window of opportunity. I would say it's an opportunity to have a conversation about things, and not that we're experts on everything.
No, we're not.
No one
and
is.
That's why we're gonna have the experts on.
Right? Exactly.
We're here for the local people of Illinois. That's a pretty big state. We're talking about Chicago. We're talking about Springfield. We're talking about Rockford. We're talking about Peoria and everything in between. Even parts of Wisconsin, Beloit, Madison, Milwaukee. We're on that Illinois-Wisconsin border. And but we care. It's
And when we have people on, you can think of us as like mediators.
Yeah.
Because there's conflicts. Okay? And we're in between, and we're saying, hey, well, let's listen to what this person has to say.
We need solutions.
That's representing this group or this, whatever they represent. Now, what do you believe is really working, right? And then let's go down to history and say, well, what has history shown us about things like what you are proposing? Because I got news. Most of the stuff has already been done. Yeah. It's not much of the
they've been trying to get this infrastructure bill. Yeah. So look up what this infrastructure bill from the sides want. Bipartisan agreements means each side has their own interpretation. Look up what it is. You want to be an informed voter, right? We're not telling you how to think, but we're telling you where to get the resources. Go online, go to Brave, DuckDuckGo, Google if you want. Remember, Google is a source that people pay to have.
Tor browser,
yeah. People pay Google to be on top of the charts. Yeah. So every time you see
you're
people
limited.
up there, you're seeing all that.
You're limited. You're not going to get access to everything from one place. It's advertised that you will, like, search anything, you can ask anything, right? But that's not everything. The internet is far greater than most people, I feel like, understand how big the internet is. They have not even
Alexandria's library is huge.
Yeah, it's much bigger than most people think. Vast. You got to think outside the box. Think outside of that echo chamber. You literally have to break out of your shell, because then you realize, oh man, I've been thinking the world is one way.
Exactly.
For so long. Yeah. And then I find out that, man, it's just and that's why we want to do this. We want to bring people together, because you need to look at both sides of the aisle.
Exactly.
Because you realize it's not even just two sides of the aisle. It's many sides, many different ideas and ideologies and all kinds of stuff. And so it's a way to connect. It's a way to connect and find solutions together.
Yeah, exactly. We are looking for solutions. That's why we're here. We will be back next week on the Leaders Exchange with more information and more for you.
All right.